Roxanne is definitely, you know, it's got a lot of potential. Is it as good as Big Red? It had a decent run. We had a little bit of downtime as we were making our modifications, but this should be a really good example.
Parker's crew nearly lost everything just hours before hauling in over $1.4 million in gold. In one wild week, Parker slammed Roxanne into overdrive, pushing it 20% past its limit until water burst out and flooded the entire pad. Mitch had seconds to react or risk the whole plant crashing down. Tune in as Sandy collapsed behind the controls, her face numb and the gold spilled out the hatch unclaimed. 700 ounces or bust. Parker pushed everything to the limit, belts running full tilt, water screaming through the pipes. Every switch was up, every setting slammed. He wanted more dirt through the wash plant, and he wanted it now. The belts were faster than ever, and with that, everything else had to move quicker too. No brakes, no waiting, just dig, dump, and wash. But what happened next would push the entire crew past the breaking point. Then it happened. Water started pouring out from under the distribution box. Not just a drip, it was flooding the floor. A steady stream turning the whole pad into a soaked mess. Mitch caught wind of it and was already moving before anyone called for help. Parker had jacked the system to full speed. What had been running smooth was now tearing itself apart.
You got a copy, Mitch?
Yeah, go ahead. What's up?
Just to let you know, there's some water coming out of the distribution box. It's coming all the way to the floor, so I'm not sure if it's something we should be concerned.
The plant was built to run at a steady pace. This was 20% over what it could handle. Everything was being shoved through faster than the water could clean it. The box up top boiled like a kettle, and everything below started spitting rocks and mud. More feed meant more water, and more water meant a whole lot of overflow. The crew knew one thing. If the pad under the plant gave out, they were looking at a full rebuild. That would mean days with no gold, trucks parked, and everyone standing around. Not cheap, not good. But Parker wasn't backing off. He wanted more pay dirt in the plant. The more dirt in, the more gold out. At least that was the hope. To keep up, he turned up the water to blast the dirt clean. But now the water was causing problems. The whole setup was spilling out the sides. Mitch wasn't going to cut feed rate. That would wreck the whole plan. Instead, he looked at the nozzles. The spray bars were open wide, blasting too much water too fast and not where it needed to go. He had an idea and he moved quick. Shut it down. That was the first step. Get everything stopped before something breaks. The minutes ticked by while the plant sat still, costing money every second. Mitch grabbed a handful of flared nozzles, the kind that spread water wide instead of straight. He crawled up and started swapping them in one by one.
What I thought was pretty good. And now this thing's probably running at 20% over capacity and it's spilling everywhere.
The goal? Get the water to hit the dirt better. Spread it out. Break up the pay dirt without drowning it. With less water pressure but better coverage, they could keep the plant fed heavy without flooding it. That was the bet. He got the nozzles in, tightened them down, and signaled to start up again. Pump was brought back to 2,800 gallons a minute. The feed rate stayed strong at 300 yards an hour. Now they watched to see if it would hold. The difference was clear. Water wasn't gushing out of the top anymore. It flowed clean, spread even. Down the runs, the slurry looked smooth, not chunky or erratic. That meant the changes worked. Now it was time to see what it brought in. First up, the smaller setup down on Australia Creek. That plant had been running for a month straight, chugging along steady. This week it pulled in 270 ounces. That comes out to over $540,000. But the real test was Roxanne. This plant had been through the ringer. Parker had pushed it hard, made changes midweek and lost time. But the payoff, that was next. The first pan hit the scale. 30, 40, 50, 60. It climbed fast. 100, 150, it kept going. 180, 190. 200 ounces flat. That was just the start. Then came the second pan. Another stack, 30, 60, 70, 80, 100, 130, 140. Still more. It stopped at 247 ounces. That made two pans holding nearly 500 ounces. They brought out a third pan. That one added another 23.8 ounces. Small but solid. Put all together, the total came out to over 700 ounces. 700 ounces in 1 week. That gold alone was worth over $1,400,000. It was the biggest haul yet. Every ounce came from a week of chaos. Roxanne had seen everything: overflow shutdowns, nozzle swaps, rushed repairs. But at the end, it worked. The spread from the new nozzles let them run full feed without losing control. Less mess, more clean dirt, more gold. Before Roxanne, Big Red was the top plant. Big Red averaged 370 ounces every week. It had been the gold standard: steady, strong, no surprises. Roxanne had to top that to earn its spot. But next week, Roxanne crushed it. 3 pans stacked high with gold, over 700 ounces pulled from the pit in just 7 days. That kind of number speaks louder than any crew meeting or plan on paper. It meant something was working. And it wasn't just one thing, it was Parker pushing harder, Mitch reacting fast, the team keeping everything running while the water tried to drown them.
150, 200, 230, 260, geez, 270.05.
Every little piece added up. Water is tricky. Too little and you lose gold. Too much and you lose control. Mitch had to find the sweet spot and fast. Those nozzles made the difference. With the spread just right, the plant stayed alive and moving. The pad stayed solid. The feed rate stayed high. The cleanup went smooth. Roxanne showed it could handle the pressure and spit out gold like nothing else on site. Numbers never lie. 270 ounces from Australia Creek. Over 700 from Roxanne. That added up to more than 970 ounces in a single week. That gold was worth nearly $2 million. Everything changed in that moment. Roxanne proved it could beat Big Red. It could run faster, clean better, and dig deeper, and it did it in the toughest week yet. The crew didn't talk much about it. They just looked at the pans stacked with gold. Shiny, heavy proof that all the late nights, busted hoses, and muddy boots weren't for nothing. Roxanne hit big, but the next hit came fast. Too much dirt, not enough crew. Parker's crew is stretched thin, way too thin. 2 digs running at once, machines roaring all day, and not enough hands to keep it all together. On one side there's Dominion Creek, and on the other Australia Creek. Both of them eating up time, fuel, and people. 2 cuts, 2 wash plants, and not nearly enough people to run them right. Out at Australia Creek they're working the boomerang cut. That stretch kicked out a solid payday just last week, but that win came with a price. The crew's burning daylight like fuel. With only 2 months left before freeze-up, Parker's chasing 5,000 ounces. He's already pulled more than 3,400, but the pace is brutal. Every scoop, every truckload, every shift has to count. If it doesn't, that target slips further out of reach. The faster they run, the harder things break. The fewer crew they've got, the more weight lands on each person's back. Loader operators are stretched beyond the edge. Trucks are cycling like clockwork, but the real choke point is the loaders. Without enough operators, everything backs up. They need bodies. Fast. Hiring fresh loader operators takes time. Real time. Training, experience, judgment. Can't just throw anyone in the seat. Parker figures the smart move is to shift a rock truck driver into a loader and backfill the truck spot later. One of the names that pops up? Sandy. Sandy's been hauling rock for the crew all season. She's 25, local to the Yukon, and been around gold mining for 3 years. Grew up with the noise and the cold. Says she never really had a plan. Once thought she'd go pro in soccer, but that got crushed. Now she's hauling rock in a big rig, bumping through ruts and dust clouds every day. She doesn't want to do that forever.
Was to be like a world famous soccer player, but that dream got crushed. It's all right, as long as I'm not stuck trucking for the next decade, I'll be fine.
She made that clear. She gets tapped for a loader spot on Lucifer, the big unit feeding the wash plant at Australia Creek. This isn't just a loader, it's the gatekeeper. It feeds everything. And with that, Sandy's job gets a lot bigger. Now she's got to run the loader and keep the plant alive. That means tracking the shaker deck, watching the water system, managing the conveyors, and making sure the sluice runs are full. It's a tall order. First shift comes around and she jumps into the loader. She's nervous but excited. It's been 2 years since she last touched a loader. Says it feels good to be back. She likes running loaders more than trucks anyway, but she's quick to realize this loader is nothing like the ones she ran before. Right out of the gate, the machine starts acting up. The armrest keeps smacking into the key, shutting the whole thing down mid-run. She's jamming along in 4th gear, pushing hard to keep the plant fed, and the engine just dies. Stops her dead. Then it happens again. And again. Every stall throws off her groove. The feeder at the wash plant doesn't care about her problems. It pulls dirt like a hungry dog. If that dirt doesn't come fast enough, the belts run dry. And when those belts run dry, water rushes through with nothing to catch the gold. That gold flows out the end, gone forever. Sandy knows this. Everyone knows this. She tries to push through. Tries to fight the loader, to time the stalls, to work around it, but the pressure doesn't stop. The loader keeps dying. Dirt piles up in the wrong spots. She can't keep up, and the longer the belts stay dry, the more gold they lose. Then her body starts to go. Her hands get shaky, her chest gets tight, her face goes numb. She says it out loud, her face is tingling, her body's tingling, and she can't see right. She calls it in, not once, not twice. She calls in 3 times, says she needs to be pulled out, now. Evan hears her, gets the message. Tyson moves fast. Sandy's not making noise for no reason. She's not the type. They reach her loader, help her climb down, and get her out of the cab. She looks pale, shaky. They walk her to the side. She can barely talk, barely breathe. They run through breathing steps. Count in, count out, try to reset her. She's having a full-blown panic attack. Not a breakdown, not nerves. Her body is locking up, loader's off. Plant's quiet, belts are stopped, gold sitting idle. Evan offers to take her for a drive, just a loop, clear her head, no machines, no noise, no feeder screaming for dirt, just open road and cold air. She agrees, climbs in the truck, tries to steady her breathing.
Tingly, I don't want to have a panic attack right now.
Meanwhile, back at the cut, everyone else is moving like nothing happened. Trucks keep rolling, loaders keep scooping, but Sandy's loader stays cold. The shift grinds on without her. Sandy was out, but Parker's biggest risk was just starting. Dominion's dirt dilemma. Parker thought buying the Dominion ground would be a power move, but now it's turning into a mess. He paid a pile of money for it, thinking it would carry the season. What he got instead was barely enough dirt to get started. They needed a full year's worth of ground. What they ended up with was maybe 1/10 of that. Now he's stuck trying to make gold where there isn't much to dig. With not enough ground to mine, Parker had to stretch his crew across 3 different digs. The plan? Keep everything moving and hope the gold adds up fast enough to cover the bills. At one of these spots, the team is scrambling to get pay dirt ready to run in just 7 days. They're tight on time and even tighter on cash. Back at the Dominion site, things aren't looking great. The old dozer that came with the claim is a total wreck. Jordan, the crew's lead mechanic, is stuck trying to bring it back to life. It had been dragged in weeks before the claim was even signed over, and it had just been sitting there. No oil, mud in the engine, hydraulic shot. It wasn't a machine, it was a rusty pile of parts. Jordan's got one shot to fix it. He's got the shell of a broken dozer, a pair of beat-up track frames from another machine, and a blade off a third one that looks like it came from the bottom of a lake. Piece by piece, he's slapping together a monster. 1 body, 2 sets of tracks, and a giant blade. It's not a rebuild, it's a rescue mission. The crew hauls parts from every corner of the yard. Used rails go on the tracks. Hydraulic lines get flushed, patched, and forced back into shape. Every bolt fights back, every hose leaks. But slowly the thing starts to look like a dozer again. It's a beast, big, loud, ugly, but if it turns dirt, nobody's going to complain. When they finally fire it up, it shakes like it's angry to be alive. But it moves, tracks spin, blade drops. It's alive. Not perfect, but strong enough. Buying a new machine like this would have cost more than $2 million. Instead, Jordan and the crew patched this one together with busted parts and long hours. They call it the Franken-Dozer, and it's getting shipped out to Australia Creek. The job there is to strip 2 acres of ground in 1 week. Mitch is running the push, and Damon's in the newly built beast. The mud is thick, the work is nasty, and the smaller machines can't keep up. First day out there, the Franken-Dozer starts chewing through the ground. It's slow, but it's pushing more than anyone thought it could. That giant blade rips through layers of mud like a knife through wet cardboard. It's loud, it's rough, but it works. Then trouble hits. A warning light flashes. Filter clogged. They pull the machine off and swap drivers while they figure it out.
Not bad.
With the 240.6, our season total is 1,274.55.
Not bad for one plant and starting as late as we did, right?
Yeah.
3 hours later, the warning is gone and the monster is back on the cut. No time to stop. Both dozers keep running, pushing dirt day and night. 2 acres isn't going to clear itself. Meanwhile, down at Ken's Cut, the wash plant is running full tilt. The more ground they strip, the more gold they might find. But Dominion isn't ready yet, and Australia Creek is under pressure to deliver. Every bucket matters. Back at camp, it's time to weigh the results. Tyson grabs the pans and they start counting. 20 ounces, 40 ounces, 60 ounces, then 100, then 140. The numbers keep climbing. 170, 200, 220, 240. That's about $480,000 in just 1 week. It's a huge number for a crew that's been fighting mud, machine failures, and limited ground. With just over 1,000 ounces banked toward a season goal of 5,000, the team still has a long way to go, but that dozer built from scrap turned out to be more than just metal and parts. It pushed them through one of their hardest weeks, and it might just keep doing it again. Now the whole crew is back at it. The dozers are running, the wash plant's humming, and that monster machine is still rolling loud and dirty through the heart of the Yukon. Jordan, covered in grease, stands off to the side watching his work crawl through the pit. That machine isn't pretty, but it works, and in a place where gold means everything, that's all that matters. Damon leans into the controls, steering the Frankendozer across another stretch of heavy mud. The machine growls and bucks, metal groaning under the weight of its own weird frame, but the blade keeps moving, slicing off thick layers of overburden. Every pass brings them closer to the pay dirt. Mitch keeps the pace steady. No brakes, no slowdowns, just keep moving. The weather's holding, the crew's on point, and the gold's still showing up. If the machine holds together, they might just clear the 2 acres by the end of the week. Back at Ken's Cut, the gold keeps trickling in. Pan after pan. The numbers are holding steady, averaging 200 ounces each week. That's what's keeping Parker's plan afloat. Dominion is still a gamble, but for now, Ken's Ground is carrying the load. If Ken's Ground keeps paying, does Parker even need Dominion? Drop your take in the comments, hit like, and don't forget to subscribe.